Hello, my beautiful people. It is I, it is her, it is she, it is Coach. Thank you so much for coming to the YouTube channel. If you are new here, please do like and subscribe. This gets my content in front of more people so that they can understand and they can be a part of the community. And if they like it, they can also come on in and we can be friends, right? So I wanted to talk to you about my journey to veganism. Very simple. No, it was not. So let me take you back to where it began. March the 10th of 2022, I decided that I was going to start to be vegan. I actually said that I was going to start cutting out things that just didn't align with me. I can tell you that it was a journey. The journey was real. It was a serious journey. But I made it through, and now I'm 102 days in. So I want to start from the beginning just to give you a little background about my eating habits and where it all started. So I want to say, in the pandemic, during the harsh moment of 2020, I had this really dying, agonizing pain that was in the top part of my stomach. It felt literally like someone was taking and just going like in a turning style with some type of sharp object. And I didn't understand what it was. It had went away. So that morning I got up and I exercised. And then after I exercised, I felt like uncomfortable, but I knew that I wasn't eating as good as I should have been eating because I was eating all things processed. And when I tell you all things processed, I was eating donuts, cookies, candies, pies, pastas. I mean, I just was eating anything that wasn't nailed down. And if I felt like eating it, I ate it. And if I didn't, I didn't. But it wasn't like I was really looking at my food. It wasn't like I was really in depth and having a great relationship with my food because remember, COVID was here, 2020. It was a lot of things going on. People were literally falling off the face of this earth. No one had occurred to it. No one knew what it was. No one knew where it came from. Everybody had an opinion about it. And it just was the most scariest part of my life. And I did not know which way to go. So I decided to comfort myself with food, which really started to mess me up mentally, physically, and emotionally. So let me start there, okay? So after I started to get this pain in the top part of my stomach, one day I went to work and I just said, okay, when I woke up, it wasn't that bad. So I'm going to go to work. As I was at work and I decided, okay, I ate real bad the day before, so I'm just going to try to eat some greens, maybe eat some things that were just kind of good in my mind, so I thought they were kind of good. And so I had made me some kale, I had me some yogurt, some Greek yogurt. I made a kale salad with some Greek yogurt. I had tuna to put on top of the kale salad. And I think I maybe had like an apple. I think I had some strawberries. I tried to just like make a whole entire, lunch that made it seem like it was going to be great for the day. And I thought that it was great for the day because remember, I ate terrible the day before, which I was just eating all types of stuff. And on top of that, I kept eating Panda Express. Let me talk about that, okay? I kept eating Panda Express. It was like my go-to, and I would just get double chicken, and I would get some chow mein, and I would get some mixed greens, right? And I'm thinking, knowing I know better because this is not healthy and to eat it all the time is definitely not something that my body's going to be congruent with. But I was eating it a lot. And that's what I ate the day before. And then the next day, I decided I wanted to eat something a little bit more calming. And so again, I made me some salad with some tuna, albacore tuna. And then I had me some Greek yogurt. I think I had maybe some strawberries, and I think I maybe had some type of nuts or something. I'm not sure, but I know in that particular category, that particular area, that's similar to what it was. So as I'm at work, I literally went to stand up from out of my desk in my office, and I'm standing up, and the pain is excruciating. It's the most excruciating pain that I couldn't even stand up straight. I had to literally hunch myself over, go find my director, tell her what was going on, call my husband, have him come pick me up, and take me to the emergency room. Now, during all of this time, I'm in my mind like, oh my gosh, I maybe tore something, or oh my goodness, oh my gosh. I mean, like just all these types of crazy thoughts are running through my head. And so my husband's like, what's really going on? Oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on. I said, I don't know what's going on, but the pain was so excruciating. It was crazy. Like, it was the most excruciating pain I ever felt. And I've had children. So compare that to that. It was the most excruciating pain I ever felt. And so we get to the hospital, and once we get there, the doctors are like, let's run some tests. Let's see what's going on. And they're like, explain to me your pain. Explain to me what's going on. Explain to this and explain that. And so I'm explaining to them, like, what I ate. And then, of course, we don't never want to tell them all the truth, that I've been eating like a pig and eating like a hog, and I need to stop eating like that. And so I just tell them, like, well, this morning I had X, Y, and Z. And the doctor's like, no, that don't sound like that would be something. So let's go get some x-rays. Let's get some internal exams. Let's take your blood work. Let's do this. So they did a whole full workup on me, right? Admitted me in the hospital. And as I'm there, I was literally in the hospital for 17 hours. And the crazy thing is that my husband wasn't allowed to come in the back with me because, of course, it was COVID. So I'm literally going through all this by myself with my phone in my hand, just giving my husband updates as the doctors are coming in, and they're talking to me and they're telling me what they think may be going on, but it's something that I may have eaten, or, it could have been my exercise. It could have been too strenuous, or maybe I pulled a muscle, X, Y, and Z. So they take me and they run all these tests. Long story short, and they come back within some hours. But let me just back up. Before they come back to tell me what they told me, I want to tell you that they presented this very small pill to me. I asked them what was the pill, and they said it's going to help with my pain. I don't even know what type of pill it was, but what I do know is I took the pill and the pain subsided. Now, hospitals, they have these drugs that's just like out of this world. And the pharmaceutical company, they just make billions of dollars to be able to prescribe a drug to anyone, right? But when I took the pill and I realized that the pain stopped, I was like, wow, that's interesting. And the reason it was interesting is because we don't even know what's wrong with me, but you're going to give me a pill for pain. That's where my open-mindedness started to think about what really is happening, okay? So I started with that of, you gave me a pill. I said I had pain, but we don't even know what type of pain. We don't even know if you give me this pill, this can make it even worse. We don't know anything, but we're going to give you a pill and say, take this, it's going to stop your pain until we figure out what's wrong. We need to figure out what's wrong, and I've already been in the pain, so let's just go through the pain until we figure out what's wrong. But that's neither here nor there. So get back to the room. The doctor comes in, and the doctor tells me hours later, okay, I'm just laying there. I fell asleep a couple of times, woke up a couple of times, prayed a couple of times, trying to just like, let it not be the worst thing in the world. Let it not be the worst thing in the world. Let it be something that I can control. Let it be something that I can make happen. Let it be something that I can cure. Just don't let it be the worst of the worst. So the doctor comes in, and the doctor says to me, you know what's the worst thing about talking to your patients? I said, no. What could be the worst thing? You're giving them bad news about death or something like that? She said, yeah, that's a worst thing too. But the worst thing for a doctor is when you tell your patients that you can't find anything wrong, and you don't know why your patient is having this type of pain. So then in my mind, I was floored. I could not believe that the medical industry, the top doctors, could not tell me what was wrong here. I mean, the top doctors of the most prestigious hospital in the world could not tell me what's wrong. So when she said that, it immediately just took me for a whirlwind. I just couldn't believe that this happened. I couldn't believe that I'm in this space. I'm in the hospital. I'm away from my husband. I'm in pain. No longer in any type of pain because now I've taken a pill. But the doctor who it's supposed to tell me what's wrong so we can fix it, couldn't tell me what's wrong, was unable to give me a diagnosis. They took x-rays. They took internal x-rays. They did sonograms. I mean, they did everything. They took my blood work. Everything came back normal. Every single thing came back normal. And that's when I knew that I had to figure this thing out on my own, because I did not get the answer that I needed. But I was also curious as to why did my stomach react the way it was reacting, and what was the cause. I never ever knew, and I couldn't figure it out. So fast forward, I still go through life. Not only did that not teach me anything, I'm still just like, well, I'm going to eat a little bit of this, eat a little bit of that, eat a little bit of this. It's going to be okay. And I'm going through life a whole entire year, because remember, this is 2020 that this happened to me. And now we're in 2022 when I decided to go whole plant-based vegan. Okay. It's like some years in between. We got 2 years in between of what really was going on. The crazy thing is, it's like for that month, my stomach was trying to figure out if it was going to do something, if it wasn't going to do it, if it was going to give me more pain, if it wasn't going to give me more pain. What I started to do was I just cut out eating a lot of sugary foods at that particular time. I just cut out eating a lot of sugary foods. I hadn't cut out eating any type of animal-based foods or any animal products. I just cut out eating sugary foods, right? So anything that had a lot of sugar in it, like your cookies, your cakes, your candies, your donuts, I just stopped eating those things. And my stomach's like kind of balanced out. But also what I figured out as I went through the process is that when I started to do eliminations of different foods, my body started to balance itself out. Not only mentally was I balancing out, because I used to get dizzy spells. I also used to I could balance out like different foods that made me feel a certain type of way, and then different foods that didn't make me feel a certain type of way. So I started to do a process of elimination. Fast forward now to, we're in March of 2022, March the 10th of 2022 is when I said, enough is enough. I want to see what's going to happen if I go whole plant-based vegan. And at first I just was like, I'm just going to go vegan, because I really didn't even understand like whole plant-based. I talked about a lot of whole plant-based. I talked about a lot of foods from the earth, and collards and kales was my favorite type of greenery to eat. Now I still eat it right to this day, and I eat an abundance of it right to this day. But those were my favorite foods to eat, and not even understanding that those were actually helping my body. I just would eat a lot of those during that 2020 period all the way up until today. But as I went through the process, I understood that I had to take care of me, and I had to take care of my body, because my doctors that were professionals and that were in the industry to help and save lives, they couldn't tell me what was wrong with me. And that's where I felt a little uneasy, because if they can't tell me what's wrong with me, I got to figure out what's wrong with me. And that's what I chose to do. And that's why on March the 10th of 2022, I decided to go vegan. Basically, in a nutshell. So let me tell you how that worked. I started out eating things that I really didn't understand, but I was eating them. I bought some tempeh, and let me tell you something about tempeh. If you don't have a recipe for tempeh, I'm not even going to tell you it's going to be good, because you need to learn how to make tempeh, okay? You got to make tempeh taste, and if you don't, it's going to be, I'm trying to tell you, especially if you get original tempeh, because tempeh, you have to work with it and you have to give it flavor if it's going to be original. Now, I normally buy the smoky tempeh, which is more like a smoke type of flavor. It tastes like a smoky bacon type of flavor, but it's all plant-based, right? And I normally buy that because that's what I like to eat now. But regular tempeh, I gotta work with that, and I don't have any really good recipes to tell you about that, but I normally just buy the smoky bacon one. So let's talk about the journey, the ups, the downs, the in-betweens, and everything that wasn't cute, okay? First of all, let's just start with trying to get together on how to make a meal. No clue. I was a little lost, because I was trying to understand, how do I make a full entire meal. And what do I put on my plate? Because I just don't want to eat greens. I want to eat something else. So I would start off with adding, I would do potatoes. I would do smoothies. I would do pastas. And I learned how to make these things in the most cleanest forms, with also me doing a lot of baking and a lot of cooking. And that's only because I really like to cook my own foods, and I really like to get into deep depth about my foods, right? I like to actually become one with my foods when I'm cooking it, and I like to know what's in my foods as I'm cooking it. I can tell you that going from eating animal products and animal-based foods to not eating animal products and animal-based foods, it was a real hard transition for me, because I was so used to eating foods and not having to look at the labels, or really just eating foods and not even have to read anything. And then I was trying to figure out, how do you substitute chicken and how do you substitute fish for more of whole plant-based foods? Like, what do you eat when you want to do those things? And I've seen a lot of YouTubers do like chickpeas, everything. It wasn't until I started introducing myself to jackfruit, and I do pulled pork with jackfruit, and I make these great pulled pork sandwiches for my family, and they think that they're eating meat, but they're not, just eating jackfruit. I do a lot of bean burgers. I do a lot of plant-based burgers that I make on my own. And then we also have tried Beyond Meat burgers, which that is a processed food. So we have tried that, and they're pretty good. The Beyond Meat burgers are pretty good. Can't really complain about it. And my boys, they like it because it tastes like they're eating real meat, but you can tell it's actually plant-based and it has no meat in there, any meat products. So I went through a lot of emotional struggle when I was actually going through this plant-based transition. And the emotional struggle was, I wanted instant gratification, and I wanted it immediately. I wanted the headaches to stop, and I wanted to feel more healthier. I wanted to be able to go to the bathroom more regularly. I wanted to just understand like how my body's going to process this. I went through a lot of insecurities as far as, what if I don't lose weight, or what if I don't lose enough weight, or what if I lose too much weight. I also went through the process of feeling like I could be deficient in certain things. My brain was telling me, oh, we're deficient, we can't have these, we couldn't have that because we're deficient. You need to eat meat because we're deficient. Like, it was a mental struggle. And when I tell you that you go through a mental process, it really was a mental process for me. And I had to understand that this is a process that I'm going to have to go through if I plan on actually achieving this. And I went through this process for weeks at a time. And it was really hard because I would, cry to my husband, like, I don't know if I'm deficient. I need to go see the doctor. I don't know if my body's doing this and doing that. I don't know. Like, it was a lot of I don't know and what ifs, right? I can tell you that as I started to self-evaluate and I started to look at what it was I was giving my body, and understanding that I'm just making healthier choices for myself, my body started to shift in a more positive thought manner. When I was in the more negative thought manner as being deficient, not getting enough vitamins, not getting enough calcium, not getting enough vitamin C and vitamin D and vitamin K and vitamin E, and just not being where I need to be, thinking, oh, I'm going to be B12 deficient. I'm going to, it's so much. And when you look at so many people, it really does not do justice for your mental. So this is why I'm making this video, because I want you to understand that when you go plant-based, or even if you're going to go vegan, it is a personal journey. You cannot compare yourself to every single person. And I definitely would say, if you're going to go to YouTube and you're going to follow people, find you 2 people that you can relate to, that you can follow, that will help you with the journey. You can't look at a lot of people, because it sometimes gets us in disparities and we're all over the place. I know for me, I was all over the place. I was watching people talk about how great veganism was. Then I was watching people talk about how bad veganism was. Then I was looking at people who were saying, no, don't eat oil. Don't use oil. Only do this. And then I was looking at people saying, no, oil is good. I mean, it was all over the place. What you have to do is you have to find your trueness. And when you find your trueness, When you find what works for you, then you stay in that path. And no matter what daggers are coming at you, you stay in this path, because this is the path that's going to help you stay focused. Your general focus is here, and when you revy off to the sides, or you go off to the sides and you're all over the place, you're trying to figure out, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I lose weight? Why doesn't this work? It's not working for me, because you're in a negative headspace, and you have to get yourself out of that negative headspace by not allowing other people's opinion to come into your space to change what it is that you're trying to do. That's in a nutshell. So I went through a lot of disparities. I went through a lot of ups. I went through a lot of downs. I went through a lot of negative thought process, and I wasn't relying on my faith, and I wasn't relying on my Heavenly Father to help me. For those that believe in God and believe in church, believe in a higher power, I wasn't relying on any of that. I was trying to rely on myself and listen to other people, and it did not work. So you have to find what works for you. I don't know how to say that in a more abrupt way, but if you are not doing what works for you, you are going to become lost. And when you become lost, you're not going to do what's necessary for you to stay on the path of greatness and health for your own particular health. I knew for me, I had to make a change. I had to change the way I was eating. I had to change the way I looked at food. I had to change my relationship with food. And I had to start eating for more abundance in my life, and eating for more healthiness in my life, and eating for more happiness in my life. Because if I didn't do those things, if I didn't show up for me, if I didn't do the work, I would not be where I am today. I would still be 270 pounds back there, all over the place, looking a mess. My journey has been one of the most intricate journeys that I've ever experienced. And I can tell you that it is about a personal journey. It's not about bringing everyone on this journey with you. It is a personal journey that you have to face on your own. So let me just give you a couple of tips that helped me, okay? Tip number one is you have to understand what it is that you want. If you don't know what it is that you want, if you're not sure of which way you're going to go, then you have to find that first. That means clarity. You need clarity in finding what it is that you want, which means what is it that you are trying to achieve? What is the main focus that you're trying to achieve? You need clarity. And sometimes it takes you taking a step back. Sometimes it takes you taking a minute. Sometimes it takes you taking months, weeks, years at a time to figure that out, because you don't know what you want. And if you don't know what you want, clearly God can't help you, because you don't know what you want, right? Number two, stop comparing yourself to others. We hear it all the time, but we as women, we do this crazy thing called comparison Annie, and we compare ourselves to everybody plus Annie, okay? You cannot compare yourself. Your health journey is not going to look like hers, and her health journey is not going to look like yours. Your physique is totally different from her physique. Her silhouette is totally different from your silhouette. Everybody is doing it differently, and it's not going to come out the same. And even if you do the same thing that someone else does, how you were created is not going to be the same as how you're going to see yourself. So you have to just stop comparing yourself and focus solely on you. It's not about you and someone else. It's about you versus you. You know where you are, and now you need to put yourself in a position where you're trying to go, which is you have to start focusing solely on you. You versus you, and not compare yourself to someone else. Number three, eat with an abundance mindset. And when I say eat with an abundance mindset, it literally means eat for optimal health. If you believe that you are eating a plate full of vegetables, and these vegetables are nasty, and they're not as good as it could be with something else, and it's not going to do what it needs to do, and my body's not going to react right, and my body's not going to do this, your mind is literally going to tell your body this is not good. Eat with an abundance mindset. For me, I'm going to eat this plate of fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes and beans, and I'm going to enjoy every bite of it because I'm doing this for optimal health. And I know that when I eat this food, it's going to go inside of my body and it's going to just light me up with all types of happiness because my body is getting the nutrients it needs. Eat for optimal health. Eat for abundance, okay? And that means that you literally are eating because you care about what it is that you're putting in your body, okay? Next, you want to make sure that you are literally doing something positive when it comes to either reading, either you're listening to a podcast, you are listening to audio books, you are doing something that is great for your mind. You are feeding your mind the way that you're feeding your body, and it's all in the positiveness. It's all being in the positiveness of what it is that you want. Right now, I'm reading Fear is My Homeboy, and I am telling you that book is so good. It takes me to a whole different level of what it is I need to start achieving for myself, because now I want to take my own health to a whole new level. I want to go from, yes, I've done 102 days of veganism. Yes, I've done 102 days of whole plant-based foods. Now it's time for me to take my health to a whole new level. What else can I do? What else can I do to enhance myself? What else can I do to help myself? What else can I do that's going to make me a better human? What else can I do to help other women? What else can I do? And so that is why I'm here, to share what I've gone through, to share what I know, to share what has helped me, and to share what has kept me focused, and to share with you so that you can take away whatever key points that you need to apply it to your own life. Next, you want to move your body. You do not have to do strenuous exercise. You do not have to do cardio and HIIT cardio and doing all these strenuous strength training. You don't have to do any of that. If you're moving your body for 30 minutes a day, literally walking, you can do some walking, you can do treadmilling, you can do jogging, playing baseball, you can play tennis, whatever it is that you like to do that every day for 30 minutes. I always say 5 days a week because you want to take maybe 2 days off, but do it intentionally because it helps clear the mind. It helps with the clarity in your brain. It helps you stop feeling scrambled and scrambled. It helps you to feel more happier, and it releases these great nutrients to your body that you need to help you feel more fulfilled. Whatever that looks like for you, it's going to help you be a better human being. And the goal is to not only be better for you, but to also be better to help someone, to be better to actually enhance someone's health, to be better to give some knowledge and to give some input, to help someone become better than what they were. And that's how you give. And when you give, you make a change. And when you make a change, it helps someone else to change. And then when they do it, it's like a domino effect. You're helping and you're giving of yourself to others so that they can fulfill what they need and be better humans as well. My journey to veganism and whole plant-based foods has not been the easiest journey. My journey has been ups and downs. I told you I was hospitalized. They didn't know what was wrong with me. I had to actually shift my mind and start to figure out things on my own. I started to eat more healthier foods and more whole foods, and I started to get out of the way of eating processed foods. I started to be more focused in on what it was that I needed for my body and what it was that my body needed from me. Because not only am I giving to my body, I need my body to give me something back. I needed to stay alive. I needed to function. I needed to do what it needs to do so that I'm able to produce a healthier person, which then I can abundantly give that to my family. I can't possibly pour into my cup if I'm not pouring into my cup. If that makes sense. You gotta pour into yourself, and you have to focus in on what makes you happy. Veganism makes me happy. Whole plant foods make me happy. I don't want to categorize myself, but this video is called How I Transitioned from Eating Meat Products and animal-based foods. That's what I mean. That's what I went from. I went from eating all of this Mediterranean foods that I grew up on to now eating more whole plant-based foods that I'm loving and my body is enjoying. You gotta balance out the two. Which are you going to do? Now, if you're like how I was in the beginning, if you decide that you want to still eat some of the Mediterranean foods, find the cleanest foods. Look at the labels and look at where your food sources are coming from. Find farmers markets that are going to give you the greatness in your foods. Go to Amish delis that are enhanced with different type of food, because I believe that they raise their own foods and they make the best of what they can and they share it with us. And the more you do that, the healthier your plate becomes. And the more you move your body and the more you think about what it is that you're putting in your mouth and how your body's going to react to that, the easier it becomes for you to really think about your life, and the easier it'll become for you to share with others. Whole plant-based foods are great sources of nutrients that your body needs. It's the best way to live, in my opinion. It's the best way to get the most out of every single day that you could possibly get. But in order to do that, you gotta want to change. And in order to see change, you gotta have that talk with yourself, which means it starts with number one, your clarity. What is it that you truly want to achieve when it comes to your health? We can't depend on doctors to fix every single thing. They are there to help us when things get a little crazy. But most of the foods that we eat are chemically based, and they have a lot of chemicals that eat and feed disease in our body. And when the disease is fed, it portrays a disease that's in your body that you need medical attention for. Preventive measures are key. I'm not saying that the whole world should, eat how I eat, or you should eat how someone else eats. But what I am saying is, when you start to focus in on your plate and you focus on what it is that you're eating, and you're focusing on making the right moves to help your body, and you don't want to feel slugged down, you don't want to feel overweight, you don't want to feel just all over the place. I mean that's what it was. I was literally all over the place. When you don't want to feel that way, then you make the right moves for you. And it starts with number one, clarity. What is it that you want for you? How can you begin this journey? And what is it that you need from this journey? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? For me, I didn't want to feel like I felt anymore. I didn't want to go to the hospital and have a doctor tell me they didn't know what was wrong with me. wanted to stop the dizzy spells. I wanted to stop feeling like I was moving and my brain is moving and I don't know why it's moving. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And the doctors don't know what's wrong. Because in reality, there's nothing wrong. But in reality, there is something wrong because you know what you feel, right? So I just wanted to let you know that it is okay. I fell off, I got back on the wagon, but the key ingredient here is to never give up on you. Never give up on you. I thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope you have some valuable content. Please share it with others that may have trying to figure out which way you want to go. Share it with those that you love because they may get some value out of it. And I know they will, because that's what I got out of it when I actually was making it. I'm giving myself more value that I can actually still add to my plate and give to others. Share, like the video. Comment below and let me know what it is that you struggle with when it was coming to you transitioning from whatever foods that you transition from. If you're on your plant-based, whole foods journey, vegan journey, let me know how long you've been on it. What are some key points that I can take away from you that I would love to apply in my life? I would love to hear from you. Again, this is Coach, and as always, I want you to have a phenomenal day, honey. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because you are above ground, and for that, we have to be thankful. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.